The United Arab Emirates, UAE, is threatening to cancel a $23 billion deal to buy US-made F-35 aircraft and advanced drones due to increasing differences between the two allies on China's role in the Persian Gulf, The Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday. The UAE government has told Washington that it could kill the deal over the F-35 aircraft, Reaper drones and other advanced munitions due to Abu Dhabi's notion that the security requirements laid out by the United States to safeguard the weaponry from Chinese espionage were too onerous. The United States has grown increasingly worried about China's influence within the UAE and has spelled out conditions that would ensure the fifth-generation fighter jet, as well as advanced drones, would not be vulnerable to Chinese espionage, the report said. The Biden administration was not sure if the deal, made under the previous Trump administration, was effectively over or whether the UAE was using the threat of a cancellation as a bargaining chip ahead of a planned visit on Wednesday by the country's high-level military delegation to the Defense Department. The UAE's threat to walk away from the deal apparently arose from a letter written by a junior official in the government, suggesting that it was probably a negotiating tactic heading into Wednesday's meeting, the report said, citing U.S. officials. US-UAE tiff. Earlier, as Eurasian Times reported, work on a Chinese facility in the UAE was halted after U.S. authorities suggested that Beijing-China wanted to utilize the location for military objectives. Work at the site was stopped at Washington's request, said Anwar Gargash, diplomatic advisor to the UAE government, although he said that Abu Dhabi did not believe the facility was designed for military or security purposes. We stopped the work on the facilities. However, our opinion remains unchanged. The facilities were not military installations, Gargash stated. However, he did not comment on what the UAE thought the facilities were going to be used for. You hear your allies' worries, and it would be irresponsible not to consider them, he said. China's growing alliance with the UAE seems to have created rifts between the US and UAE, affecting some critical weapons deals, including the sale of F-35 stealth fighters. Even though the US had said that it remained committed to the F-35 deal, it had been deferring it for quite some time. Chinese telecom giant Huawei's participation in the 5G trials, in which the US and its allies have dug their heels, was seen as a primary reason. There was also a concern among US lawmakers that American military equipment could be used in the Yemen conflict. Although various reasons were cited, the Americans never withdrew from the deal. At one point, it was also speculated that the Emiratis would receive a less stealthy version of the F-35, as previously reported by the Eurasian Times. Now, with the UAE government abruptly shutting down the Chinese facility, the stalled F-35 talks could receive fresh momentum. China's presence in UAE last month, The Wall Street Journal had claimed that U.S. intelligence services had spotted Chinese construction at a port near Abu Dhabi, where China's COSCO shipping business owns a commercial container facility. The development had cast a shadow over the Biden administration's relationship with Abu Dhabi, one of Washington's most important Gulf allies. It led to a series of high-level talks and intelligence cooperation between the two countries regarding the matter. Construction at the site was recently paused at the request of the United States, according to The Wall Street Journal. It is believed that for at least a year, American officials have been closely monitoring the construction of what they believed was a military facility inside the Khalifa port. Officials from the United States and the United Arab Emirates have not revealed the exact nature of the facility under development. The Biden administration cautioned the Emirati government that a Chinese military presence in its country may jeopardize ties between the two countries after intelligence agencies in Washington learned that Beijing was secretly developing what they assumed was a military installation near a port. This move coincides with Beijing's efforts to create commercial ports in outposts around the world, which many believe is a clear attempt to strengthen its military footprint. Commercial ports have previously been built in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, as well as China's first overseas military base in Djibouti. The United States for long has maintained that China aims to expand its military footprint through its commercial activities, whereby it sends its troops in the name of security of its infrastructure in the host country. America has also accused China of creating debt traps, especially in Sri Lanka, where it secured the lease of the strategically located Hambantota port for 99 years. We have made our position very clear about the types of activities that would jeopardize our ability to do things that our partners want, Brett McGurk, U.S. National Security Council's coordinator for the Middle East, said, referring to weapons sales and technology transfer to America's regional allies. This is indicative of the U.S. reluctance to have military transactions with any country that engages with its arch-rival China, and also hints at the delay caused in the F-35 sale to the UAE, despite several rounds of talks. With its threat perception growing stronger in the region, especially from Iran, the UAE recently purchased 80 Rafale jets from France. The American delay in completing the F-35 deal was believed to be one of the major reasons for the UAE military diversifying its options. Gargash stated that the UAE is very anxious about getting caught in the middle of a tussle between China, one of its key economic partners, and the US, its major military ally. This was the first official communication from the UAE on the ensuing stalemate. He stated that there is a thin line between competition and a new Cold War, and that the Emirates do not want the rivalry to slide into a second Cold War.